What's up, Laker fans? Welcome into the LA Sports Brotherhood. It's me, Ryan, here with my brother Matthew. And it's been a minute since we made a Laker video. We've had the Dodgers in full swing. SC, unfortunately, is still playing games. But we're at the 10-game mark for the Lakers season, and we are 6-4. I think there's been a lot of good, a lot of bad, and a lot of confusion. And with that, we can transition to the first part of what we're going to be. It was going to be a general recap, I think. But in spite of all the on-court play and honestly a lot of signs of encouragement, there's the biggest issue for me is that we have $15 million of tradable salary just not suiting up. And then how much is 11 plus 8? $19 million of eventually tradable salary. The two main backup guards, at least to start the season, being truly useless. So let's start with Vando, because I think that's the title that we're gonna title the video. Jared Vanderbilt is leading the league in most fits thrown, and that's it. He is not suited up. They've asked JJ Redick twice now, the media has, about his status, and 1 week has passed in between those two answers, but they were both the same. There is no update on Jared Vanderbilt. Christian Wood did get an update in that it was that he's pushed back at least 4 weeks before they even reevaluate him. And that's all to say, Vanderbilt is considered by everybody, including us two, to be very important to the structure of this team. But he is, he's a ghost. So I think it's time that we have a tough conversation about his future on the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough to talk about. It's so frustrating. Even Edwards made that joke, like, you've been hurt for 2 years. And it's truly frustrating because, in my opinion, he could be closing games for us right now.
Yeah.
He could, right now, we're what, 5-4, 6-4, excuse me. Maybe we're 8-2 with Vando. I mean, it's that he's that impactful of a player. When we first made that trade that truly changed the franchise and the trajectory of the LeBron era, he was like the main guy that was performing for us. He's that active on defense, and he's kind of really what we need. And it's just, when is he going to play? And if this is his third year here, and this has been a serious problem, is it time to just move forward without Jared Vanderbilt? Because right now, it's like the same way I feel sometimes as a Dodger fan, or just a baseball fan in general with these pitchers, you don't know when they're going to play, like a Dustin May. This is how I feel about Jared Vanderbilt right now. In my mind, I honestly don't expect him to play because, like you said, Redick won't update us. He's been hurt for this time. He just had surgery in the offseason. I really just don't know what to expect. And what makes it even more frustrating, I'm sure we'll transition into this, is Gabe, Vincent, Max Christie, like you said, just useless. This team is not deep at all, and one of your core guys seems like he just will never play, and that's a problem.
Yeah. And to compound that, I think the reason it's really sticking out now, besides the general lack of defense, is that going into our next kind of topic, including Vincent and Christie, is Lakers made a very significant change to their lineup. Cam Reddish has been in for 2 games, and of course, it's 2 games against not great teams, but the balance of the team, the lineup, the overall feel has shifted so much just by putting D'Lo on the bench where he's been thriving and having a defensive focused guard. And could you imagine if Jared Vanderbilt was there instead of Cam Reddish? Reddish has been playing very well. I went into this season with an open mind with him, despite me very much not liking his presence last year. I think he's really settled into a role because his role is actually defined with a coach that has a structure. But it's really more glaring now that we do have someone that's pressuring the ball pretty consistently and playing pretty well defensively and not going out of his lane offensively, which is another thing that happened with Reddish under Ham a lot, is that Vando is now just salary to trade. He was never that before. He was always integral to the process. And having $11 million rotting on the bench when this team has shown that they can be good. And AD is the MVP of the league currently. LeBron, he's had some of his worst games as a Laker, but he's also had a lot of LeBron games, and that's not going to go away. So, just thinking about it, it really becomes an issue of building a roster, because like you said, we're shallow as hell. So we have to build a roster knowing that a guy that's important to the team is always hurt and making some of the only money that can trade. But with Vanderbilt not being available to play. We do have other salary to trade, and they are available. They're just horrible. Gabe Vincent and Max Christie, two players I've never disliked. I've stood by Gabe so much because the theory, not even the theory of him, what he was before he came to the Lakers was a good backup point guard. Like he could be there. He is super tenacious on defense, which he still is. It's not like his effort's gone down. It's just like you have a black hole on your team. Max Christie straight up fell out of the rotation in 8 games after they paid him 4 years. Like it's just difficult thinking about it. And D'Lo going back there has really balanced it a little bit. But I mean, I don't even know what you're going to say, Matt. But this guard rotation is horrendous.
Yeah, I mean it's the problem of this team. Austin Reeves has been phenomenal. One of my favorite Lakers. I love Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
It's just D'Lo was god awful as a starter, and he has found some success in the backup role, and I'm happy for that. But I mean, this is year 3 for Max Christie. You know, last year we kind of penciled him in that 10-man rotation in his second year because we like the potential. It's year 3 now. I mean, if it's not happening in year 3, I really don't know when it's going to happen. Austin Reeves was undrafted and year 1 found success. And in year 2 was closing games in the first round of the playoffs. So I don't know when this is going to happen with Christie. Vincent, the guy just can't do anything on offense. I've tried to believe in him so much. I specifically remember in the play-in game, he made 2 threes, and I thought, oh my God, like it's playoff Vincent here.
Yeah.
And he clearly wasn't. And in the offseason, I thought, okay, maybe with a full year, he had an injury, maybe he'll be successful this year. And I don't understand. Like the playoff run, yeah, with the Heat could be inflated, but I mean, he was good in the regular season too. I don't know what happened, and it's useless to just going on and on about how it's so shocking what happened, but that needs to be addressed. You know, we need, like you said with Vandal, it's like imagine he was starting with Christie. Excuse me, imagine he was starting instead of Reddish. That could have changed this team. I keep saying it, I said it, and you know, just when we talk, I want our 5th closer. AD is the MVP. LeBron's the GOAT. Reeves has been incredible. Rui's been really good. We need the 5th guy who can close. I do love what Reddish has done this year, but I really don't want him closing up a playoff game.
Yeah.
We need that core 5th member of them. Get Kessler. We're right there. You have the best player in basketball in AD, the GOAT. Like you have this very, very small core that have all been performing really well, and because of that, you've won some basketball games. You're so close to a complete championship team. You're just missing some core members. You have salaries to trade. Those guys are out there. Let's be a playoff team. Let's be an over 500 team so that we can make a trade to become championship contenders. That's my goal for this team. I'm thinking like future. I'm not. Excuse me. I'm thinking present. I'm thinking right in front of us. I'm thinking until Christmas. I'm thinking until the deadline. I'm not thinking about championships, playoffs, whatever. Just keep winning basketball games so you put yourself in a position to make that big move.
Yeah. 100%. Like you said, the 4 guys, those 4 starters besides Reddish / D'Lo have been very good. Rui's had some down games, but I'm not going to be too hard on him. He's a role player. Role players have down games sometimes. This is what happens. The effort has been there the entire time, and I think that's the most important part. I fully agree with what you're saying about just like stacking wins essentially, because obviously you want to win every game, but we've seen how desperate the Lakers have been the last 2 years to end the season, not just in the trade market, but just winning games. LeBron blew his foot up because they started 2-10 with the second year of Russ before he made the trade. And genuinely, I think that was the difference between us winning the championship and getting swept by the Nuggets. He just couldn't drive anymore. And no reason to bring up old stuff anymore, but they have the formula. Reeves has taken another step, like truly. His on-ball game is significantly better. He's a cleaner ball handler. He still needs to work on handling ball pressure a bit better. But he's in the pick and roll. He's looking like a genuine point guard. He's not a full setup man distributor. But in those scenarios, you feel even more confident in him producing. Davis is actually getting the ball in the 4th quarter. I know people have been talking about like, oh, he looks different, he looks more aggressive, and I think that is true to some extent, especially on the offensive rebounds. Like, and he's getting more of them, so he's scoring more. But there are so many games from last season where he had the same 25 points in the first half, but instead of ending with 36, he would end with 28. Because in the second half, they just would never get him the ball. And I think you see the difference where the he is still featured the entire time, throughout the entire fourth quarter, and he's scoring so much. And so, yeah, that's all to say. We have the structure. We don't need a massive trade. I don't think. I mean, it'll be massive in the magnitude and importance, but we don't need a huge, like a third star. I'm not gonna be naive and be like, oh, I don't. If an actual star comes up, don't trade for him because that's stupid. But we can think on the margins. You said Walker Kessler, 100%. The salary is so minimal, you can trade JHS and toss him a first and unprotect the other. Like the that can happen. We can see the Nets, who have a lot of good role players and they desperately want to tank because I'm pretty sure they own their pick this year. I don't think they did last year, but this year I think they do. And they have guys that can help the team. Dorian Finney-Smith is the love of Laker fans. I'm not super high on him, but he would help a lot. Cam Johnson is an actual wing who can score the ball. He can shoot. He's like Rui with a bit more foot speed, and he's more consistent of a shooter, even though Rui's been shooting great. And there's no need to get into specifics. The point is, to go back to the very beginning topic of this episode, we have a dilemma where the theory of some players we have is important to the structure of this team, but they're not present or they're not performing. Those are the only salaries we have to trade. I mean, D'Lo's included too, but D'Lo is too important to just kind of toss away. So the Lakers need to make a decision on whether or not Jared Vanderbilt is going to be part of this team's future. Because if they think like, oh, we'll see what we get from him this year, but next year we'll have to shop him around, then do it now. Like, they have to be decisive. And I think that's the biggest issue, is that Pelinka has not, for someone that is so decisive, like to a point where it's hurt the team with like the Russ trade and stuff, the indecision, or I should say lack of decisions generally, maybe he's not hesitating, he's just choosing not to do anything. That has been the biggest detriment. So I'm hoping that they've truly just been waiting for the moment that they can strike. Because this team, like you said, they have something to pursue. They've shown, even in the short time frame where they've threw away 2 games they didn't need to lose against the Suns, the second time against the Pistons, they have something to build on. And they really need to act on it, or else I'm going to have actual problems with this franchise.
Yeah, last thing I'll say is I think we're stable. We have the head coach, we have the system, we have the superstar MVP and AD, we have the leader in LeBron, and we got some core guys like Rui and Reeves. Can you add a point guard like Dennis Schroeder? Can you add a big like Walker Kessler? Can you build out this rotation to get 7 to 8 guys, maybe even 6, that you can say we trust them to win a championship? That's what I think it comes down to.
Yeah.
And being stable is a legit upgrade from what we were last year.
Yeah, you can look into, not that we need to look into the next couple years, but you can even look through next season and feel good about having Reeves, AD, LeBron, Rui still here. Connect, he hasn't been hitting any shots the last couple games, but he doesn't look lost. So that's another thing where, like, there's something to keep growing. So if you can add to that, and it's not like it's like little veteran whatever, like one year deals, like if you can just keep piecing together something, you can actually have a consistent, stable, good team for more than just a season, which we honestly haven't had, even despite how good the obvious championship team was and the 2021 team that followed, because they were a great team. It never felt like they were building towards something. And I think we have a chance to do that now, even if it isn't immediately feeling like you're the championship favorites. You have enough talent to supplement them and then be in the championship mix at all times. So we need to do that. It's 10 games in, but we're the Lakers. We don't do feel out process. We need to act when it seems like there's a chance, and I think there's a chance. So yeah, this is kind of a sporadic episode. We wanted to get into a lot of things we were talking about just during the season because we've been other places, like we said, the Dodgers World Series run. But we're gonna be back with a lot more Laker content. I'm gonna personally try to do more film breakdowns, or just like just breakdowns in general. I love talking about basketball, so be on the lookout for those. And yeah, if you are new here, please subscribe if you enjoyed. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about the trade future for the Lakers, or even if this team's even worth investing in at all. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Go Lakers.